Find the wheel, and it goes round, round, round as it spins along with a happy sound as it goes along the ground, ground, ground till it leads you to the ones you love. And your love will hold you round, round, round in your heart's a song with a brand new sound, and your head goes spinning round, round, round 'cause you found what you've been dreaming of. Oh, in the night you see the lights, the moon going round and round in tune, and the falling snow in the day makes them all wanna say, find a song, and sing it round, 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 and with ties so strong that your hearts are bound. Hold them near, the ones you found, 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 for you know that this is really love. Find a wheel, and it goes round, round, round as it spins along with a happy sound as it goes along the ground, ground, ground till it leads you to the ones you love. And your love will hold you round, round, round in your heart's a song with a brand new sound, and your head goes spinning round, round, round 'cause you found what you've been dreaming of. In the night you see the lights of the moon going round and round in tune, and the fall of snow in the day makes them all wanna say, find a song and sing it round, 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 and with ties so strong that your hearts are bound. Hold them near, the ones you found, 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 for you know that this is really love. Find a song, for you know that this is really love. Yeah, you know that this is really love.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. My name is Katie Gideon, and I will be the on camera facilitator for this Saturday weekly setup social. And coincidentally, I know it seems like don't go into panic when I say, but this will be our last weekly social setup for December, which again, though, seems a lot since we still have like quite a bit of time left in December. But this is the last one for December because just the way the days fall, the next social next week will be for setting up January, which is exciting. So that last kind of hurdle to the end of the year, we're finally here. It has finally arrived. So we are so glad that you all are joining us. I want to give a huge shout out to my co-facilitator who's going to be in the chat, Bailey, who is joining us from Tennessee. So we're excited to host these socials, especially this close to the holidays. But I feel like this is that last kind of moment to take that kind of maybe big deep breath before we got to kind of like trudge through if that is the holiday that you celebrate, so to speak. So thank you everybody for joining us. Do we have any new folks in the chat that either is maybe trying to get a jump start on a January journal or maybe new to a weekly setup? And then I also feel like Saturday has like a whole different vibe than some of the other socials. So maybe if you're new to Saturday, ooh, fun, we've got new people. Love this. Welcome. So don't get too overwhelmed with everything that's going on. You can participate into this as much or as little as you want. If you want to ask questions or get tips and tricks and share in the chat, make sure that chat is set to everyone. But maybe you just want to kind of absorb the conversation or just read the chat. Maybe you just want to turn off the chat and just look at slides and listen to the music. Maybe the music is not really your vibe right now. You can mute that and then go through the slides. It's one of those, there are no right or wrong ways to do this. And we are just glad that you have set aside this hour to focus on you and whatever self-care journey you're on. And we are glad that we can be a part of that weekly self-care component. So as always, normally I have kind of the wintry, snowy snowman. And someone mentioned in the last one that they can't relate to those snowmen. So this one, I consider this for the beach Sonder family vibes. because not everyone gets a lovely white wintry holiday. So you're going to see some of the beach vibes, which from I spent some time in Southern California, so I can certainly sympathize with that. But I did want to give a shout out to our beach going, maybe warmer client holiday friends. But as always, for some of the guidelines, be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Please respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. And as always, limit repetitive product and accessory questions. We certainly want to be here to help and answer your questions, especially during the social. But there will be probably a point in time where we will direct you to the hello@silkandsonder.com for any headquarter questions. And then, as always, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well being, and decisions. So make sure if you have to set up some of those maybe mental barriers, especially as we move into kind of the theme of celebration, being so close to the holidays, or just because we are providing examples or certain samples here doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. Doesn't mean that that's the only way it can be done. So definitely, choose your own adventure here. If you don't want to do something, you don't have to. No one's going to grade you. We, again, are just glad that you've set aside this time so that you can focus on what tools you need to get through the week ahead. So we are coming to the culmination of the celebration theme this month, which again, I think has been a great way to end it. But I feel like I've been on an interesting kind of celebration journey because for as big, bubbly, and optimistic as I am, I absolutely have those moments of just kind of the no filter celebration, proud of myself type capacity, but then also realizing that sometimes I would kind of downplay some of those accomplishments when it comes to celebrating. Also, adding kind of a sarcastic twist to it, which again downplays it. So now at the kind of last culmination week, I want to give myself that permission that I can celebrate my accomplishments in whatever way I want and however I want. And that's going to be the best way because that's what's going to make me happy. That's what's going to make me smile. That's going to want to motivate me to move and continue to achieve those goals so that I can have those type of celebrations. And it was certainly something else that I always picked up is that, at some point everyone was going to throw a party. You had your balloons, you had your confetti, all of those things, but maybe the celebration theme changed. So maybe your banner changed, but that does not mean it changes how you celebrate or the reason to celebrate or why you need to celebrate. It just may look like a different celebration. So that is kind of the theme we're going to do. We're going to still embrace that. We're going to finish up the last week of our mind map. We are going to do a closing rosebud thorn and then as well as the weekly setup. So if you have not set up a mind map before, these are the absolute kind of foundation, I feel, for a lot of our weekly setups now. So this is going to be a format that you're going to see each month. We take the opportunity to celebrate as well as deep dive into a small component of the monthly theme. So this activity is actually not in your journal. It's not a prompt there, but you can find a blank page in your journal if you haven't already set it up, or you can use a blank area or another area in kind of your weekly setup. And so we've covered all the previous weeks, but don't worry if you miss a week, if you show up late or have to leave early, we provide the prompts from the previous weeks. So you always have the opportunity to kind of answer these prompts throughout the week. You don't have to have all the answers here. But Ooh, that is a good question, Christine. I don't know. I don't think so. And that's because a lot of people have like an added creative element to kind of design their own mind map. And so that could be another one of those. But I would absolutely include it in the survey at the end. But with that being said, week 4, drum roll please, for the celebration mind map. So the question is, how have you grown or changed, and in what ways can you celebrate this 2023 version of yourself? So again, I feel like this is the kind of ultimate conclusion to a celebration of this month, but also I think the ultimate conclusion of how maybe you've had to mentally, emotionally, or intentionally approach the theme of celebration. So this is my example on the left. I had the Christmas lights and then I realized I was going to miss my Christmas lights. So I was going to have to come up with some sort of other kind of viney line way to set up my future ones. But a couple suggestions if you find this a little tricky to kind of dig in and kind of get started is start with kind of internalizing these celebrations. Look at your somethings to celebrate. I feel like even as per someone who's always been a team player, I try to kind of spread the celebration across those people. So I would challenge you to look at something that you individually or maybe with some support kind of achieved, but something that you're wanting to celebrate. And then, as always, there is no scale here. Anything is worth celebrating. So don't compare yourself to anybody in the chat. Whatever you find most important to celebrate, that is what you direction you should go. And then, as always, if you're maybe having some mixed feelings about 2023 or just looking at a celebration on kind of like a timeline scale, maybe you can pick either a different year or maybe just focus on an aspect of yourself that you want to celebrate. We talk about growing, and maybe you've done some emotional or mental growth that you want to celebrate, and that may not have been a journey that could only be taken in 2023. So you can always branch out kind of in that direction. And so kind of the big celebration that I had about myself was I made a really big move to a different country, different continent. And then I just need to embrace that kind of brave and fierce sense of independence with no regret or apology needed, that this is what I wanted to do. This is where I am starting to flourish. It's where I'm starting to see, really positive changes, even though at the point it was going to be a little scary, a little intimidating. And there are definitely times where I have all the feels when it comes to like missing people, not being around, especially around Christmas. So I find it a little tricky, but that's something that I want to celebrate this year for myself. So if you have any questions, comments, let us know in the chat and we will see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. And I understand this prompt, even in its just kind of simple question format, can actually expand into either a really complicated or a really big answer. And that's where I feel like there is magic just into being able to sit and reflect on it. Because while we do love and support the power of pen to paper, sometimes it's just the ability to sit and acknowledge and give ourselves permission to kind of look back on some of those accomplishments or just, things you did under a slightly different lens. Because again, I'm another one of those attitude is everything. So being able to kind of look back and get excited or really feel some satisfaction into it, I think is great. But as always, I know it can be a little tricky. So if you maybe had some problems kind of answering the question or figuring out how to answer it, you have the whole week to kind of come back and look at it. Because again, I think it may be one of those, if there's not a single answer, it is an opportunity for you to kind of sit and look at what are some of those magical moments that you've had that has gotten you to this new point that you want to celebrate, the changes and the growth and all of those things that you've seen. So I think it is an amazing opportunity and a great way to kind of close out our mind map journey under celebration this year. So again, thank you everyone for sharing, and we will move to the next activity, which is this is going to be page 50 in your December journal, the Rosebud Thorns. And I think this is a really nice kind of tie in to the theme of celebration. But Rosebud Thorn is something that we absolutely do on a weekly basis, regardless of the theme, because I think it is a great way to take a look at the week that you had, where you can again celebrate those wins, acknowledge those exciting or emerging opportunities, as well as reflect on maybe the things that didn't go so well. So for a rose, that is going to be a highlight, something that went well, something that made you smile, something that made you happy. For me this week, the rose was last weekend. I was actually able to travel to Manchester to hang out with some friends from the States who had come over. One of our friends was in a pantomime show over here. They live out of London. So it was really fun to see them. And as well as I feel like I've noticed that my kind of friend journey has taken an interesting route where it's no longer the friends that you just kind of swap random stories with. It becomes a little bit more of those deep seated relationships where you don't have to kind of explain all of the ins and outs or the nuances. It's there for the like kind of absolute support of whatever you're doing, whether you interchange the stories or not. For Bud, that's going to be an emerging opportunity, something you're excited about, something that you're looking forward to. So for me, that's going to be holidays kind of in a new place, starting new traditions, being able to participate in some of those things. Thorn is going to be a challenge, something that isn't going well, something that's bothering you. Me, I know it seems really simple and really silly, but right now my biggest thorn is kind of the trash recycling separation process. I live in an apartment building, so it's all in the same. And I'm just so paranoid that I'm that person that's doing it wrong and everybody knows. And so I'm getting judged on my lack of ability to like do it well or do it perfect or all those things. And I know you're like, yes, Katie, no one cares, no one notices, no one even as remotely can associate the trash and the recycling with just you. But it's the fact that I have had to put emotional thought and wasting time and paranoia on it. So I'm going to have to come and embrace my trash and recycling situation and be okay with that. So those are my rosebud thorns for this week. Please, if you want to share your rosebud thorns in the chat, again, we are on page 50 in your December journal, and we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Even though I am going to kind of start talking and moving into the next session, please feel free to keep plugging in the rosebud thorns in there, because we certainly want to be able to celebrate the highs and all those things under kind of the theme there. So I saw some just a kind of excitement about the holidays coming up, but also seeing some folks have some pretty tough thorns. So sending all the extra love, support, strength, whatever is needed for those people on those thorns, certainly need to do that. But again, this is a really kind of great way to look at the kind of ups and downs and everything in between of the weeks, as well as, with this kind of, as we go to kind of the end of the month, you can also look at it as a rosebud thorn for the month, those type of things. And then you can even have a big kind of rosebud thorn to kind of round out 2023. And this is also just kind of another kind of tool that you can help that you can either propel kind of with the monthly intentions, with the start, stop, and continue. This is a couple of those things of like, how did you kind of achieve your rose? Are there things that you can continue for the buds? Is there something that maybe you need to start doing so you can give that one a little bit more momentum, or maybe stop doing to prevent some of that momentum if it's not going to quite turn out in your favor? Same thing with the thorn in that type of thing of what can we maybe stop, start, and continue. But knowing that life is, all the highs, all the lows, and everything in between. So for even just kind of a relatively simple kind of rosebud thorn theme, it could actually be very deep, and you can turn all of them into kind of actionable items or actionable ways forward. So I'm always a big fan of this particular exercise. So thank you everyone for sharing. Now the main event, the weekly planner. So a lot of times, especially if you're still kind of new to this or on a kind of early in your Silk and Sonder journey, there is no right or wrong way to set this up. We certainly have folks that are wanting to repurpose things, and I think that's always great. I am always in awe of the creativity around the repurposing, but maybe you need to kind of start with the kind of pure definition, so to speak, of some of these things. But again, there is no right or wrong way to do this. These are just some of the ideas that you can always incorporate into the sections. And so this is kind of if you need permission to do something different, or maybe not do it at all, maybe slap a sticker on it, whatever you need to do to kind of build the week that you kind of need to work through. And I always think that, especially with it being kind of the holidays, a lot of time off, where your kind of work schedule and home schedules are going to look a little bit different, give yourself some grace and maybe set yourself up to kind of manage some of those expectations where you know that this week is probably going to look a little different than maybe previous weeks. And that's okay. But I also feel like you should wholeheartedly embrace if it's going to look a little different. So please join me on page 52 in your December journal. And we're going to start at the top and work our way down. So for the top this week, I want to feel the way I approach this is kind of, this is a grounding point. When I start to get a little lost in my week, this is how I want to feel this time next week. So this is kind of my end goal, for lack of like, I've got a scientific background. So this is my baseline. And so all the other sections in this weekly setup are the variables that I'm going to change so that my results are still, this is how I want to feel. So this week I want to feel, I just kind of want to slow down. And that's just because I feel like I've been trying to do a mile in a minute. I know I need the mental break. I know I need the emotional break. Probably could use a physical break as well. I feel like I'm not challenging myself as much on that. But I definitely want to, this time next week, I want to feel like I've slowed down. And here are again some other examples. You don't have to pick a word. Maybe it's a phrase, maybe it's a mantra, maybe it's a couple different words. There's also a popular idea of wanting to feel more and wanting to feel less. You can certainly embrace the festiveness of this, or it could be something like, I just want to feel 1% better. So there are no right or wrong ways to do this. I'm going to turn on quick music. Let us know how you want to feel this time next week. Thank you everyone for sharing. Love the kind of optimism to this is that people want to feel inspired, motivated, recharged, present, mentally rested, relaxed, less overwhelmed, more relaxed. So what I do love about some of these I want to feels is you start to see kind of a theme, or at least you can always find someone else who's kind of on a similar journey where you kind of want to feel the same way you want to feel. And I always find a little bit of comfort in that, especially as like you know the magic of kind of Silk and Sonder is that someone is kind of working on the similar things to you, and so to feel like you're not alone I think is always helpful. But I again love the optimism that this kind of thought can bring. So now that we've figured out how we want to feel, we're now going to move to the weekly major three goals. And so, still with that foundation of how I want to feel this time next week, I approach it with kind of structuring the three major goals, and those tend to be more of like the big picture items. For me, that's like the mental or emotional approach that I need to take to keep myself back on track as I overlay my to dos and my activities so that I can still end goal feel the way I want to feel this time next week. And so this is another one of those that I love all of the different approaches because yes, you can have three goals, you can have two goals, maybe you only have one goal, maybe you don't have any goals. So there is no, you know, you can scratch out the three goals and just put major goals. Maybe major is what makes you feel a little bit bad, so maybe they're minor goals, maybe they're just three goals. And then a couple thing can be the kind of a theme. So a lot of folks have like a family, a mind, a body, a mind, body, and work. There is a mind, body, and spirit. So the themes can be kind of a good thing so that you can focus on those type of things there. I am a big fan of the one on the top right with I love a good alliteration. So the frog is something that they have to do that they don't want to. Fun is obviously something fun and maybe something fierce. So maybe that's something that they've got to, you know, give that little boost of confidence or maybe something that they're maybe a little scared to do. And so I think that's a great kind of approach to this. And then I also like the bottom left one. So that person there, the way they wanted to feel by this time next week was happy. So they carried over the happy mind, happy body, happy soul. So it was kind of that theme to again get to the how I want to feel. And then there's an AM PM routine, and then someone again. We have such fun stickers out there that maybe that's, you know, maybe you can't describe the goals that you need, but maybe there are stickers that can do it. So there are no right or wrong ways to do this. So let us know, how do you approach these three major goals? Are you a category person? Are you a sticker person? Or are you like, I have three big tasks that will absolutely keep me up at night if I don't accomplish them? So we'll see you in the chat and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Love seeing some of the folks that are kind of getting a kind of head start, or at least start kind of thinking how they're going to approach 2024. Someone's already working on their vision board. And then I loved the idea of a couple folks that were like, I just gotta hurry up and clean and get ready so that I can enjoy the holidays and that kind of time off. I am right there with you guys. I'm actually gonna go away and spend time with some other friends kind of here. So even though no one's coming to my house, I feel like I gotta like clean it enough so that I come back and it's not total chaos. But I also just love as this is kind of another way to kind of outline kind of where your priorities are going to be that week so that you can feel the way you want to feel. So that can be kind of one of those tools. But again, there were no right or wrong ways here. So now that we've kind of built this foundation of either maybe mentally, emotionally, or prioritizing kind of our key things that we want to accomplish this week so that we can feel the way we want to feel this time next week. We are going to still stay on page 52, but we're moving over to that section on the left-hand side with the weekly to-dos. And so these are maybe some of the kind of tangible things, at least the way I think of it. These are kind of some of the tangible things that I need to achieve under those kind of prioritized major mental and emotional or large goals so that I can feel the way I want to feel. This is how we're going to make it happen. And so there are a couple ways to approach this. You can do it on the traditional kind of to-do list. I am a to-do list person, and the difference between a to-do and a to-da is how you celebrate the to-doneness. So instead of all the things that I dread on having to do, I write down the things that mentally I have a checklist of things that I want to do. And so when I complete those tasks, I add the to-dos. And so I get to have, again, a mini celebration on all the things that I accomplished. And so then, like I said, I love a good alliteration with the to-da, to-do, and to-done. There are also other ways that you can approach this. The Eisenhower matrix, which I think is a great kind of tool as you come into the holidays, especially if you have guests or if you are going to be a guest. It's the do, decide, delegate, and delete. Same thing with the Pomodoro technique. I feel like this is another one of those. You set aside a specific amount of time to do a task. Once that timer goes off, you walk away from the task and you can do a couple other ones. So I know that that's also a really kind of good approach. And then I love the stickers with obviously all of us made the nice list. You can also turn it into a bingo board of things that you need to do. Kind of a list of the to-dos that I've seen kind of surge in popularity is the need, want, hope. So that's kind of, again, where you categorize what you need to do, what you would want to do, and what you hope to do. So I know that that's been a nice kind of reframing for some of these to-dos. And then there's another one that's a to be, but again, maybe you want to completely use this in a very different way. Maybe this is where your exercise tracker lives because you have other things that you want to do in the other sections. So that's when we say, if you repurpose it, you can repurpose any of these sections. And sometimes that is just going to take some time to get settled and sorted into. And then also kind of embracing the theme is maybe these are the things that you celebrated. So let us know if you are a to-do, a to-da, or maybe a need, want, hope, or a do, delegate, decide, delete, or maybe you're just a sticker because you're going to be busy and the to-do list is going to create itself. But at the end of the day, these are kind of things that need to be accomplished in order for you to feel the way you want to feel this time next week. So we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved that. Who was it? Because it was such a good idea. It was, sorry, scrolling up through the sections. It was someone who is going to use a bingo board, which they usually do. Julia has a bingo board set up for this type of activities and to-dos, but she's also incorporating some of those appointments that she has, which I think is genius. You know, that's all stuff that is going to absorb an element of time. And I am a big fan of setting yourself up for success. And sometimes that is overlaying, as I like to call, the reality check, because just because it's something that you do, there may not be things outside of your control that are going to inhibit your ability to accomplish those. And, you know, I feel like a huge mantra here is only worry about what you can control. And that obviously is a little harder to do in practice than actual kind of in theory. So I think that is a great way to approach this. But then I also love that someone was just going to put a Christmas tree there because that's where their priorities on the to-do list are going to be. So I do think, again, we're kind of in that interesting space at the end of the year where all of our priorities appear to not be our own sometimes, or time not our own, all of those things. So the ability to design the week each week to uniquely meet whatever needs that week has, I think is what's magic, because then we can pick it up and do it all again. Because we know just sitting here thinking in reality is this week is going to look different than a week in February, than a random week in June, a random week in July. And even it's going to look completely different this time next year. So there is magic in being able to start new and start fresh, but you always still have the ability to kind of stop, start, and continue as we go through here. So I think it's always really great. Thank you everybody for sharing. So we are still staying on page 52. We're going to move to the habit and activity tracker. And this is one of those that I know it can bring all of the thoughts and feelings. Some on the exciting motivation level and others on the, well, I didn't do the thing that I needed to do. And that really makes me upset. So that's again some of those mental barriers that I think we have to kind of accept. But I think it's another one of those of like giving yourself some grace on how you approach this. And so there's a handful of different ways to do it. But what I love to then see is how kind of just me for individually, I am a creature of habit. So usually two or three of these are the same and they have been the same since day one. But I do make changes to each of the other ones as we go. And I'm a big fan of like adding the reality lens. So, you know, for me, I always want to have some sort of movement each day, but depending on what my schedule is looking like, what the weather is looking like, my movement is going to change. So maybe it's, you know, walk outside for 30 minutes. If it is cold and rainy, this girl doesn't leave her house. I melt in the rain because I'm like the Wicked Witch of the West. So then it's like, I'm going to do a workout inside, you know, those type of things. So definitely encourage, there are different ways to approach this with the, maybe this is how these are habits and activities you want to stop. Maybe it's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 approach. Maybe these are not nearly as kind of tangible activities. Maybe these are more just kind of the squishy reminders, like the be kind to myself, acceptance of myself, get enough sleep, more fresh foods, where there's really no goal in mind. It's just another thing that you want to do. And then the bottom left one, I love the kind of elegant simplicity of it, but it all still is like so condensed and so specific because I'm a big fan of taking the big squishy ideas, turning them into specific actionable items. And so I think that's a great way to approach this as well. And again, just because there are 5 lines doesn't mean you need to do 5 activities. Maybe you just want to do 1 or 2 or 3. Maybe you have activities that you only do during the work week. Maybe there are only activities that you do on the weekend. Maybe this is just where you want to put your routine. And then I am also a big fan of adding something fun. So like this person has a be silly with my grandkids. Maybe it's a make a new playlist. Maybe it's a dance like nobody's watching. I am a big like karaoke car queen. So maybe it's those type of things. So I just love kind of how you can do it. Ah, Nicole Levitt, I thought that was so fun. Nicole's gonna watch movie shows, do the New York Times puzzles, and then just cozy time with the tree. I definitely can be there with the cozy time with the tree. I just love kind of sitting kind of in the dark, but with Christmas lights, there's just something so like magical about it. So let us know how you are maybe approach the habit and activity tracker. Let us know if it's going to look a little bit different because of the holidays. But we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing some of the approaches to this. It was definitely one of those, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think that is an excellent application to some of these habits and activities. You know, a lot of us are here, part of kind of our self-care journey is kind of establishing some of those routines. So this is a great place to do that. And I know a question is always usually what's the difference between the monthly habit and activity tracker and a weekly. The monthly are things that you want to do every single day. As I said, the habit and activity for the weekly, that's usually where I ground those monthly habits that I want to do daily in reality. So maybe it's I know I want to read every day, but maybe it's I can read for as long as I want because I'm not nearly as busy. Or maybe it's okay, I'm only going to have time to read a chapter or read for a certain amount of time. And then I loved that, again, can be kind of how you can kind of change your prioritization based on how you want to feel this time next week. So for some of those folks that are wanting to feel maybe more present, or kind of tuned in, connected, all those things, maybe these habits and activities are going to look a little bit lighter, just so you can, again, time we've got no control over, but we can prioritize how we spend our time. And so this is, again, a way to kind of add that power of pen to paper to kind of ground and settle on, this is how I would like to spend my time. This is how I want to spend my time. And this is how I'm going to prioritize spending my time so that I can feel the way I want to feel this time next week. So thank you everyone for sharing. We are going to keep on rolling. So now we're on page 53, which is the second page. And so this is the meal plan section. So I kind of refer to the second page as the B-side. I'm a music fan, and so this is kind of the B-side of a record where there are some amazing gems, but I don't always listen to it. So therefore, I don't always use this page. And it took me a really long time to kind of come to that realization. And then I had that aha moment of I use these when I absolutely need them, but I was feeling a little too much pressure of having to use them and only partially using them. So then I was like, well, that was a weird usage and, not really being kind of totally invested on the side. So that was just kind of the permission I had to give myself that when it's there, when I need it, and it's awesome, but I don't always have to do that. But there are different ways to kind of repurpose this. There's a meal plan, as well as you can use it for daily to-do lists. Maybe this is how you plan the big meals. Maybe this is something that you do as a real-time tracker. You can also track kind of workouts, maybe some reflections, other kind of healthcare journeys. And same thing with the affirmations. So you can certainly kind of repurpose the meal plan here. It can be used as such, or you can maybe this is where you want to do just some deeper reflections. Tina tracks her crafting and creativity projects there. And then Mind Body Health Plan, which is again that top right on page 53. This is another one that I feel like can be repurposed quite a bit. People will kind of, maybe this is I feel and I need kind of T-chart. Have seen a little bit of a pivot of this is where people are kind of putting journal prompts, so that they can kind of do some deeper reflection, either in the meal plan section right there, or these are questions that you can ask yourself each day and on that weekly spread. So that would be page 54 and 55. That's where you kind of deep dive kind of into some of these journal prompts. Or you can completely kind of revamp the style of this, kind of like the one on the top right. Those are their mind, body, health priorities, and they're going to do them each of those days. Maybe it is a reading log, or maybe it's a simple question of how did you care for yourself today? Or, as I think we were all talking about, cleaning kind of as in preparation for end of the year. Maybe this is a cleaning tracker. This can also be maybe the 7 types of rest. And then also on this same page are the shopping list. Don't worry, I'll go back through all of these slides. The repurpose here is maybe this is where daily rituals are going to go for AM and for morning and evening. Another great place for a bingo board, which is the boring stuff bingo. Maybe this is where you kind of want to celebrate the wins bingo. Maybe this is like a holiday kind of tracker, gift cards, thank you cards, kind of all those things. Or again, great place for a sticker, or maybe it's a positive self-talk bingo, kind of a read and watch, kind of all of those things. So let us know how you use this page. Do you repurpose some of these? We would love to hear, and we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Love seeing the repurposing, as well as just kind of the approaches here. Lynn does the meal planner instead to the things I've learned. So again, I feel like this page also kind of is a great way to kind of use it more of kind of that journaling tool. I feel like the first page is an excellent like tracker, how to get things done, those type of things. And then the second page has a lot of potential to either kind of continue that journey from the first page or really use it as an opportunity for more reflection, or kind of deeper reflection, kind of journaling. One of those things, I feel like it was one of those I always aspired to be a diary keeper as a kid, but never could get it to stick. But I feel like the breakdown that this has been, I still would say I'm not a diary journaly person, but I definitely have some really good foundations for this, and I like the bullet style of this. And then the ability to try something new each week, I think, is great. So the other section kind of on this page to kind of round out is the I am loving. For me, I've posted a handful of these socials this month. Certainly like these setups have become my kind of staple, and so I love it. And these are just kind of some celebration or kind of positive quotes that I found that I really like. So those are the things that I am currently loving. And then, can you believe it? We have actually reached the end of our time together. So thank you everybody for sharing. We would love to continue the conversation in the Silk and Sonder app, as well as we do use all of the ideas that are posted there. So thank you for those that continue to post that there. We always like to look at new suggestions because you guys are so amazingly creative. And it's always magic when you see someone's approach to it. And that's like the kind of little thing that you just needed to unlock how you wanted to do it. And then as always, Bailey's going to start throwing some links into the chat, but here are the QR codes, so you can just take a picture of those. And it's the kind of refer a friend, the upgrade opportunity for an annual, as well as the social survey. So this is where if there are different schedules that you want, different times you want, different social events that you want, let us know. And also let us know what time zone you're in, because we know that people love the Saturday socials, they love the Sunday socials, and then we've got our very dedicated group of Monday morning weekly setup socialers. So let us know. And then Bailey's also including the YouTube link. So if you show up late, have to leave early, or if there's a day where you just need a social, we have, I think, almost close to 700 different socials now at this point. So they'll get uploaded there and you can always use those. This is my playlist. I will be sure to drop that link in the chat as well. And I steer clear of kind of the Christmassy stuff, but this is one of my favorite Christmas songs. If I do not give off the impression that I feel like I'm a pop alternative rock type fan, this kind of sums it up. So thank you everyone for joining us. We are so glad you took this time for yourself. I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their weekend, a fantastic holiday for those that celebrate it. So Merry Christmas to all. And then we will see you at the next event. Hopefully you guys are going to have an amazing week. You're going to rock it. So let's be super excited of how we can celebrate all the feelings that we're going to want to feel this time next year. So thank you so much. We will see you soon.
Gonna build us a fire tonight. Light it up, baby, it's Christmas time. Got no money, but we got our thing. Nothing under that Christmas tree, but I'll be the one that sings you to sleep, stands by your side, believe in me. Got no presents and got no money, if only it's Christmas. All my money on a drum machine. We'll be good one day, just stick with me. We'll be set for life if I can sell a few beats. And I'll be the one that sings you to sleep, stands by your side, believe in me. Got no presents and got no money, if only it's Christmas. never pictured it like this. Upon this snowflake, I swear that I'm gonna make your dreams come